Ever wonder how small changes can make a huge difference? I used to think I needed a massive overhaul to change my life, but that only left me overwhelmed and stuck. Today, I'll share 10 tiny habits that created a ripple effect in my life, proving you don't need to move mountains to change your world, just pick up a single stone. My journey into the world of journaling and ultimately into a clearer state of mind started with something incredibly simple: a cheap notebook. Nothing fancy, just a basic, unassuming notebook I picked up without much thought. It sat on my desk, a blank canvas waiting for, well, something. And initially, it was met with a completely failed attempt at traditional journaling. I had this idea that journaling had to be profound, insightful, and perfectly articulated. The blank page in all its stark emptiness was incredibly intimidating. It felt like a test I was destined to fail. So I decided to change the rules of the game. I needed to find a way to make the process less daunting, more approachable. The new rule: just write one line. Just one single sentence about whatever was currently occupying my mind. No pressure to be eloquent, no need to analyze, just a simple, honest reflection of my thoughts in that moment. At first it felt almost pointless, like such a small act couldn't possibly make a difference. I questioned whether it was even worth the effort, but the beauty of it was that it was so easy, so undemanding, that I kept doing it. There was no resistance, no internal battle to overcome, and what I discovered was that one line often, almost organically, turned into two. The initial sentence would spark another thought, leading to another line and another. Then before I knew it, those two lines would blossom into a full paragraph, exploring the initial thought in more detail. This simple act of writing, even just a little bit, began to untangle the knots in my mind. It helped me process my emotions and organize my thoughts in a way I hadn't anticipated. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, it gave me a moment of clarity each morning, a small window of understanding into my own inner world. It wasn't about writing a masterpiece or producing something profound for the world to see. It was simply about checking in with myself, taking a moment to acknowledge my thoughts and feelings without judgment. This tiny habit, this single line, didn't magically solve all my problems or transform my life overnight, but it gave me a starting point, a foundation upon which I could build a more mindful and intentional life. The goal isn't always the grand gesture, the sweeping change, or the dramatic overhaul. More often than not, it's the consistent, small action, the daily practice, that yields the most significant results. That single line, that seemingly insignificant act, was the first domino to fall, setting off a chain reaction that led to greater self-awareness and a more fulfilling life. Next, I started each day with a glass of water before coffee, before my phone. I made it frictionless by keeping water on my nightstand. After a week, my morning grogginess faded faster. It was a gentle signal to my body that the day had begun. This small act of kindness to myself set the tone for better focus and clarity. Sometimes, the most profound changes come from fulfilling the most basic needs. Making my bed felt pointless, but I tried it as a 2-minute experiment. It wasn't perfect, just tidy. But it gave me a sense of order and accomplishment before 8 a.m. That small win made me feel capable and encouraged other productive behaviors. An organized bed made the rest of the room and my mind feel more in control. If I could start my day with one success, I could handle the next. I used to think exercise had to be this grand, time-consuming endeavor. I believed it had to be intense, pushing myself to the absolute limit every single time, or not at all, which, looking back, was a pretty flawed way of thinking. So, more often than not, I often did nothing. I'd get stuck in this cycle of feeling overwhelmed and then just shutting down completely. One day, feeling particularly drained, I decided to try something different. I just walked to the end of the street. No pressure to perform, no expectations, just simple, easy movement. I didn't set a destination or a time limit. 10 minutes outside, breathing fresh air and observing the world around me, cleared my head and lifted my mood significantly. That walk, that simple act of stepping outside became my reset button, my go-to solution. It was there for me whenever I felt stuck, overwhelmed, or like I was drowning in responsibilities. I realized that movement isn't just some chore we do for physical health, it's so much more than that. It's absolutely essential for mental clarity, for processing thoughts, and for finding a sense of calm amidst the chaos. Sometimes when you're feeling lost or stressed, all you really need is 10 minutes to disconnect. All you need is 10 minutes and a change of scenery to shift your perspective and recharge your mind. I loved buying books but rarely finished them. Reading a whole book felt impossible. So I set a tiny goal: read 10 pages a day. It was so manageable I had no excuse not to do it. 10 pages a day became a book a month, without pressure. Learning became accessible and enjoyable. Consistency, not intensity, is what leads to growth. My brain fixated on negatives, so I tried gratitude journaling, 3 specific things each night. At first it felt forced. Good coffee, a parking spot, working Wi-Fi, but soon I started noticing small joys throughout the day. My brain was being retrained to look for the good. This habit didn't erase the negatives, but it balanced the scales. Even on tough days, there's always something good if you look for it. I used to start my day reacting to emails and notifications. Now, after journaling, I set a daily intention, a guiding principle for the day. It takes less than a minute but frames my entire day. When I get distracted, I return to my intention and refocus. It's a small act of control that ensures I'm steering my own day. My nights were ruined by endless scrolling, so I set a rule: no screens for the last 30 minutes before bed. My phone charged across the room, out of reach. I filled the time with reading, gratitude journaling, or stretching. The effect on my sleep was immediate. I fell asleep faster and woke up refreshed. This habit taught me the value of boundaries. Disconnecting from the world helped me reconnect with myself. I was a chronic people pleaser, always saying yes and draining my energy. I started small, say no to one thing each week. It was uncomfortable at first, but people understood. Each no created space for my own priorities. Saying no isn't selfish, it's strategic. It's about taking ownership of my time and energy. I used to chase big goals, but the finish line always felt far away. So I started celebrating small wins each week, writing them down or treating myself. This rewired my motivation, fueling me with steady progress instead of distant rewards. Acknowledging progress created a positive feedback loop. The journey became as important as the destination. Celebrating steps along the way kept me engaged and motivated. There you have it, a glimpse into the power of small, consistent actions. We've just showcased 10 tiny habits, seemingly insignificant on their own, but capable of creating a ripple effect throughout your life. These 10 tiny habits, when woven into your daily routine, can build a more intentional life. They're about consciously choosing how you spend your time and energy, aligning your actions with your values and aspirations. None are revolutionary alone, each one a simple, manageable task. Think of them as individual threads in a tapestry, but together, when these threads are interwoven, their effect is powerful. They create a strong, resilient fabric of positive change. The synergy between these habits amplifies their individual impact, leading to a more fulfilling and purposeful existence. Don't try all 10 at once. That's a recipe for overwhelm and burnout. Start small. Pick 1 or 2 that resonate most with you, the ones that feel the most achievable and aligned with your current goals. Try them for a week. Give yourself a dedicated trial period to see how they fit into your life and how they make you feel. The goal isn't perfection, but consistency. It's about showing up for yourself, even on the days you don't feel like it. Small, consistent efforts compound over time, leading to significant results. Let your first tiny habit be the domino that starts your change. That initial push that sets off a chain reaction of positive momentum in your life. Which habit will you try? Take a moment to reflect on which one feels the most accessible and exciting to you right now. Share your story in the comments. Let us know which habit you're choosing and how your first week goes. Your experiences can inspire others to take their own tiny steps. Remember, big changes start with tiny steps. Embrace the power of small actions and watch as they transform your life in profound ways. Thank you for watching. I will see you in my next video. Don't forget to like and subscribe.